Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan, Gerry's percentages in about a half an hour. James Duthie will join us live from Atlanta. Bet you it's so hot down there. It's hot everywhere. I mean, it's hot everywhere. And our man, the Swami, Chris Berman, he's getting greased here online. I won't stand for it. The Pro-Am's going on down in Hartford. It is scorching. And there's pictures circulating of
going.
The khaki shorts, hot day. It's
he's got a measurement for sure. He's got the SWAS going.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's getting carried away down there. And listen, you got to gear up. Like you said it. You'd wear the white pants, the white shorts, triple stacked. I don't think you even have the courage to rock that on a day like today with that kind of heat.
Look.
Get that off.
His shorts.
I won't stand for it. That's the Swami. I love the Swam. Like, that's a shadow, man. That can't be swat.
That looks like sweat right through, and on the knees, it's dry. That's what it looked like to me.
He gave himself the best chance for success. He's like, it's scorching. I'm going with the lightest shade possible, and he's a victim of circumstance. He's got no out. Mm-hmm. He has no... The only thing he could do is go black on black, but he would sweat so much because black on black, you're not noticing that. It just looks kind of wet.
Right. You have to wear dark shorts in heat like this.
I think so. I think Schwam's got to go with a white golf shirt and a blue short.
Yes. Dark navy blue.
Navy blue that are short shorts. Yes. So there's air filtering.
Right.
He's had a few incidents though. Like people wouldn't be mad at him if he was wearing, some form of protection. Like if you could tell this guy had doubled and tripled up somehow, and you're like, this guy's wearing, thick underwear or something. Like it. He's had too many incidents where people talk about it.
He got caught at the Pro-Am, man. Back in the day at Pebble, it was in a bad place. And
dude, at least he didn't wear pants.
That's valid. Shorts are mandatory in this kind of heat.
Because at the Pro-Am out in Pebble, he goes beige pants.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And the heat got cranked, and he got caught. He got caught. And there's a lot of guys dealing with that right now. Let's call it what it is, man. It's a heat wave out there. You got to watch yourself. Dark shorts. Navy, something like that. You wear khaki or something like that where it can show up. You're doing yourself a massive disservice. You cannot do that to yourself. So that's disappointing. But we're gearing up for Copa America, Canada, Argentina tomorrow night. So JD will join us here in a moment. And the series is being dragged back to Alberta, right?
Yeah.
Florida's got to get back on the plane. We don't know when they're flying there. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? I guess we'll find out. But, we talked a lot about it last hour. It's the Connor McDavid show. But I think Stuart Skinner deserves a lot of credit, too, right? Like, a lot of heat was on him. And he played well the other night. It didn't matter because they won 8-1. It wasn't really a conversation about him. But last night, they're up 3-0 there. And he's got to close the door. And he largely did. I mean, the Tkachuk goal was a great goal. It's right under the bar. He got it off quick. And Rodriguez is a scramble in front.
Ekman Larson was a one-timer from the slot. Like, there was breakdowns, and Florida, I thought, was pushing. But I thought Skinner made some really calm saves, like shots from the point.
That's a great board, Jamie. That's a great board kind of detailing these guys throughout each series, what they do. Like, that's scary stuff.
It's kind of hard to argue, what he's been doing as series get deeper. That's the one thing. Like, he's had his struggles early on in series, but as they get deeper and it's kind of on the line, he's been able to dig in. Again, none of that matters if you have a poor game on Friday night, but he's given them an opportunity. I thought his start was huge. And I actually go back, Brian, to 2 games ago, Game 4, they're up 2-1, I think, and he makes that backdoor save, like that push across. I think it was on Verhaeghe at 2-1, and then Edmonton settled into the game and it ended up 8-1. But he made a couple timely saves, and last night, 90 seconds into the game, he'd already faced 2 quality chances. One from Reinhart, where Reinhart, I don't know how he's all alone 30 seconds into the game in the slot, and then Ekblad on the back door. he makes that glove save. So there were two big saves early on that I thought Skinner was rock solid on. Because if Florida scores on that, the game looks different. The building's rocking. Now you're chasing it from behind. You're like, hey, we're in one here. It's amazing how a goaltender can make a couple saves and the team just has confidence.
Changes everything, man. Like we just said with Bob, like game one literally can't be beat. Last couple of games, his numbers have completely plummeted. You look at since the third period of game 3, he's got a .756 save percentage. Like you can't win like that. Like you cannot win. It cannot happen. And that's why we always say sometimes the game should just be called goaltender, or goalie. Yeah. Because as great as McDavid was, Tkachuk was unbelievable last night. If you can't get a stop, you can't win. That simple. And right now, Bob's a mess. And
Jimmy was watching that. Jimmy was watching the game with no gear on with the hotel TV fixer guy.
Yeah, what was going on there?
That was interesting. He's making friends down there.
Weird ass stuff.
All right, here he is, live from Atlanta, Georgia. Our main man, James Duthie. What were you doing last night watching that hockey game in your hotel room?
Sometimes I think that I just exist to provide fodder for your.
But Jimmy, you had to know. You had to know with your leg in the pick like that, you were going to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, I did not know. I am such an innocent waif the way I see the world. Okay, so my TV hasn't worked for 2 days. This is like the second tech I call up because it's the third period of the game. We watched the first 2 periods in some Irish pub. They kicked us out, so I go home to watch the third. My TV keeps freezing. So I call this dude, walk up to my room. Really nice guy. And I said, hey, listen, you got to hang here for a second because I need to watch this game, so we're going to wait till the next TV timeout. So he hangs around, watches the game for a couple minutes, and then he reboots my TV. It's like a Wi-Fi TV or something, and he reboots it. But as he's watching, I can see he's getting into it. So it fixes, and he says, I'm just going to stay for a couple minutes to see if it's okay. And now he's getting into the game. He tells me he's never watched a hockey game. He's asking me all these questions about the Panthers and the Oilers. He's all excited about McDavid. And then I said, well, if you want to stay for the last couple minutes, you can stay. And he says, yeah, okay. And I'm like, this is a really nice moment. This guy's never watched a hockey game before. And here he is. I'm sharing our beautiful game with a person who fairly new to America and did not know the beautiful game. And he's getting so into it, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a picture and share this with the world. I didn't even know my leg was in the picture. All right,
no pants on. That's the thing.
I was wearing shorts. I was not naked in the room.
That's the only concern for me. I'm like, you're laying in bed with no pants on, and there's a guy that's watching a hockey game with you.
First of all, I'm not laying. Look, the shot does not reveal everything. Maybe I should have posted the video. I am sitting on the edge of my bed, one leg up, one leg down. I was standing with a man for like 10 minutes, but it was taking forever.
We've all been in that position.
I'm in a room with a king-size bed. I'm allowed to sit on my bed. I will. Yes. So, it's one of those deals where you post the pic. I went on with my life, and I pick up my phone in 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, I hate people.
You know what? I enjoyed it. It was a pretty stupid photo. I think more people had enjoyment. Apparently, I had Costco socks on. I don't even know. My family just interchanged the socks between my wife, my daughters. I just grabbed whatever socks were in the house. But I have nothing wrong with Costco socks. But there was some very good humor. So I applaud all the Twitter people last night. But you are sick freaks because this was a nice, innocent, heartwarming story that you turned in. My favorite ones were like all the porn jokes where it was like, usually I fast forward past this part, things like that. There's some Penthouse Forum lines like, I never thought this would happen to me. I got to admit, I quite enjoyed those.
Yeah, I know. Shifting through those was actually, there were a lot of good ones.
There's 503 comments on there right now. I'm looking at it.
Right.
503 people have responded with a comment to that picture. Well, that is how much you move the needle.
This is probably the most... I don't know what it is. I was not going to say popular tweet because maybe that's not it, but I never thought that I would. The most viral tweet I would ever send was a picture of my naked leg.
Right, and yes, like you said, you have an innocent view of the world, and it was a great experience for yourself and this gentleman who came to help you. And I'm curious if on the other side of it, he's like, man, there was this weird Canadian guy, he had no pants on.
Or underpants. He's just
Well, I'm reading the comments.
Wanting to watch hockey.
Yeah. Three comments in a row. I'm reading. Keith Oberman goes, Dear Penthouse Forum.
Right.
Carlo Koliakovo goes, did you at least buy him dinner? And then Jonathan Torrens writes, just like Brian Wilson did, lying in bed. Like, I was dying at these comments. So funny.
So hold on a second here. Okay, maybe it was a little weird that the guy's in my room and my naked leg happened to come to it. But wearing shorts and like golf little short ankle socks is not an odd look in a hotel room when you're by yourself most of the time.
Right.
This is not a weird look. So don't make me out to be some freakazoid, okay?
No,
that is
not
a
at all.
completely rational look.
I agree with you.
Maybe, as I said, I maybe should have cropped the leg out, but I'm not one of these guys that looks at these things. I took the picture, I put it on.
It's all good.
I thought it was awesome.
It's all good, and obviously you got to witness. You know, we've been talking that game up, and we've been talking McDavid up. You know, for the last hour plus. You know, O said maybe that's as well as anyone can play the game. You know, like
Conn Smythe is over as far as I'm concerned.
Conn Smythe is done for you.
I think it's over. Now, hold on. Now, I suppose, let's say Barkov has a hat trick and they lose the next game 4-3, and then he has 4 points and they win the Stanley Cup in Game 7. You know, sometimes I feel like in the Conn Smythe, my mind will change in the middle of Game 7. Like that sometimes happens to me. But as I look at it now, either Bobrovsky or Barkov would have to do something spectacular in the last games for it to change. I think this is a J.S. Giguere, Ron Hextall 100% situation where this was the best player in the playoffs. This is one of the best performances we've ever seen in the playoffs. And it's not, you know, handing a consolation prize to McDavid if they don't win. But I think that it's a justifiable Conn Smythe even if they lose the next game, because what he's done is pretty historic.
Do you think he will want to win the Conn Smythe if they lose?
Well, no, obviously, but I don't think he's going to turn it down. It won't be a happy presentation. He probably won't want to come out on the ice or anything because the guy's about as fierce a competitor as it is, but he's not going to say, no, please give it to Bobrovsky. I mean, you've won. The Conn Smythe still means something. It just will be a bit hollow to him, but he's not going to turn it down.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you can't turn it down. That seems like something that gets thrown in the basement. And he's like, I'd rather not talk about it. You know, it becomes a memory of losing the Stanley Cup. And look how great I was, and my team couldn't help me get over the top.
I can't remember. Did Giguere come out on the ice to get the Conn Smythe?
Really fired up. He was really fired up.
That's weird. I mean, that whole thing's weird, and that would be weird for McDavid. But it doesn't matter to me. That stuff's all irrelevant. I mean, I think you should win it, and it was something you'd take pride in later on in your career, probably.
Yeah, for sure. And it's an incredible accomplishment. It's something you would never dream of. I'm going to win a Conn Smythe one year without the cup. It's such a rarity. The idea of him and the Oilers storming back and winning this, you know, we've all collectively established, and I think you'd agree with us, it's just too tough in a 32-team league, salary cap league. He's too deep into his career for the idea of him winning 4, 5, 6 cups. Like, I just think that ship has sailed. But if McDavid drags this team back from a 3-0 hole and they win the cup, is that the equivalent of 2 cups, 3, 4? Like, how would you put that into perspective?
I'd say at least double. And I would say this instead, because, I mean, I don't know how you'd ever have a rational answer to that question, because winning it's so hard every year that I don't think you say it's worth 3 cups or something like that. That's I think an insult to the teams that have gone and won 3 cups, because that's super hard every single year. But I was thinking of this today, and yes, it's, you know, recency bias and all that stuff we always say, but if they win, it's the greatest Stanley Cup victory of my lifetime. I can't think of another one. Is it I can't go back to the 40s and 30s, 50s, whatever, but it's the greatest Stanley Cup win I'll ever see. I mean, it's only happened twice. I don't remember the 1942 Leafs. So you have the greatest player in the world, maybe the greatest player that's ever played. I don't want to ever have the Gretzky argument because it's so stupid with different generations, but maybe the greatest player ever, leading his team from an 0-3 deficit to come back and win the cup, to me, that will be the greatest Stanley Cup I have witnessed in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm. No
and I don't see another way of passing it. So you can put whatever value on that. I think, I was saying, we're all selfish in this business, and my travel schedule is a little bit nuts because I'm in Atlanta for soccer, and I got to get to do the Canada game tomorrow night, and then get to Edmonton, and then get to Florida, and then get back for another Canada game, and it's going to be awesome. I love all of it. But if they get to 7, I really want the Oilers to win because it's like it's 2006 all over again when Fernando Pisani scored that shorthanded overtime goal, and 6 days of your life disappear, and then Carolina wins in 7 anyway. So I'm supposed to be neutral, but if we get to 7, I think I'm going to have to be rooting for the Oilers and rooting for history.
Yeah, that would be so cruel. Like if you're a fan,
oh
so
my God,
cool.
Oh, it would be awful. You'd almost I don't know that you'd rather be swept, but it would be. I don't know. I think you might rather lose in 5 or 6 and come all the way back and then lose. I don't know.
We kind of. I mean, it's smaller, but when the Leafs came back from 3-1, we were like, okay, you got to close the deal, type of thing, and they didn't. Like that's, and it kind of just takes the luster off of it. I mean, Edmonton's storming back. It's amazing, but you still have to close the deal. If Florida gets it done Friday,
forgets.
Right?
The coming back from 3-0 will mean nothing. It will be a little asterisk note that we'll do an OverDrive 3 years from now and go, I remember that time the Oilers won 3 in a row, but they didn't finish. You just forget so fast in sports. But if it's 4-3, it's forever, and I think we have a chance to. I'm really excited to go back to Edmonton because I think it's going to be nuts there. And why do we all get into this business? Because you want to witness special things and you want to witness history. And I don't wish any ill will to the Panthers. I think they're a fantastic team. I think it'd be awesome if they won the cup. I'd love to see Louis get a ring. There's a bunch of guys there I'd love to see get a ring. But man, this is a chance of something really historic now, and it's. I think it's piqued all of our interest again.
Yeah,
man, we flip the switch quickly, don't we? We're like, these guys are dead, and then we're like, maybe they're alive, and then they got the defib, and then it's like, go ahead.
After Game 3, I said to Noodles and Dregs, "Is it over?" And they said yes, and I'm not mocking you guys because I said the same thing.
Right.
Because all of our lives, it is over, and everything we'd seen in the series said it was over, and everything we'd seen of the Panthers all season said it was over. So I don't think we're wrong or we're idiots for saying it at that time, because that's the reality of everything we've ever witnessed in hockey. And, maybe McDavid is the guy to defy all of that.
Well, James, I'll even back up, or I'll tell you exactly my comment on the panel that night was, I don't see the Edmonton Oilers beating Bobrovsky 4 games in a row. And he looks human now. That's the difference, where goalie Bob after 3 games, we ran a board where McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, RNH, and Bouchard had bagels. Nothing. Feathers. Right. Literally. So,
but isn't that Bob's track record a little bit? And I should say with an asterisk that he had a long run in the playoffs last year, and he's had a run in the playoffs this year where we had a couple of bumps, but he always rebounded from the bumps. But if you go a little bit further back, he's always been kind of streaky, hasn't he, Noodles? And that when he gets off his game, he can get off his game for a few weeks. And in this case, a few weeks is enough to lose the Stanley Cup Final in historic fashion. So that, to me, I think that's almost the number one storyline heading into Game 6. Is Bob, is Bob rattled now? And I think the first goal, which is going to be everything in that game, because if Edmonton scores it, I think the wave of that crowd will carry them through. But if Florida scores it, you're going to have sudden belief that'll pop back into the Panthers' heads. And so I think that's the number one thing I'll be watching for on Friday night. That's the night I've lost track of my days.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. With James Duthie. So Copa America, Canada, Argentina, it doesn't get really any bigger than this. Outside of them making I think the race to get to the World Cup, them getting to the World Cup, obviously stands out. And this is not the same level as the World Cup, but it is Argentina. It is Messi. What's the tee up for the game tomorrow night?
Well, first of all, it's insane here. Like, it feels like this is Atlanta, Argentina. Now, part of it is because Argentina's staying in our hotel. So there are literally hundreds of fans parked out our hotel, walking through the lobby of our hotel, all in Argentina jerseys. 3/4 of the Canadian fans that I've met here are here wearing Argentina jerseys to see Messi, which doesn't bode well for, the favor of the crowd. The 71,000 going to be there tomorrow night. But yeah, I mean, I'm here working with Atiba, and obviously the World Cup was the highlight of his life and every person's on that team's life, and it was the greatest moment for Canadian men's soccer ever. But this is right next to it because, the World Cup's the biggest stage. We have never talked about Copa much in our country because Euros is a bigger deal and Canada's never been in Copa. This is the first time ever. But this is the oldest continental tournament in the world. It's the third biggest tournament in the world. And now this is the first time Canada's ever played a World Cup champion in a competitive game. Like, there's been friendlies before, but they've never played the reigning World Cup champion. And the furor around Messi, and for it to be the opening game of the tournament, this is a stage that is pretty much as big as the World Cup for these guys. So I think it's going to be fascinating. And, hopefully they've learned. They had the World Cup experience, so they're not coming in here too wide-eyed and too rattled. I think there's 15 guys back from that World Cup team. And, if they can somehow hang around like they did with France and, get a draw or get a goal or get a lead, I think it would just be amazing. I mean, look at they're way outmanned on paper. It could easily be 5-0, but Canada's decent, and I think it'll be a lot of fun if they hang around to the second half and we got a game.
Jimmy, do you ever feel like you're Mrs. Doubtfire right now? You're just bouncing between one thing and another, and you might just butcher something on live TV, like asking about McDavid and a soccer panel.
I will definitely use some sort of hockey term tomorrow that the soccer fans will be angry about because I'll forget where I am for a second, or I'll be with Noodles on Friday night in Edmonton and be like, 3-0 victory. It'll be. They've got good pace. McDavid has good pace out there tonight.
Had a half chance.
No, honestly, this is so much fun though to bounce back and forth between these two things because there's nothing better than the Stanley Cup Final, and I can't wait for this crowd tomorrow night in 71,000 people. Alistair Johnston, I don't know if you guys have ever had him on, but his family grew up like 2 blocks from me in Aurora, and my daughter's one of her best friends was his little brother, so I've known that family forever. And watching that kid in the World Cup was something, and now watching him on this stage, playing against, trying to stop Lionel Messi is a pretty cool experience.
Just a quick follow. I'm honestly, I don't want to sound negative here, but what is the expectation? Like, I remember. Was it last year where they scored a goal and everybody was celebrating a goal? Like, that was it. Like, honestly, and I'm not trying to downplay, but that's literally, they scored a goal and you would have thought, like, they won the tournament. They won the games. Like, what would be successful here in your eyes?
Well, first of all, I think you're bang on. I think that was fair at the World Cup because it had been 1986 and Canada had been there. And look, I don't pretend to be a soccer expert that follows every league like Stephen Caldwell's and Kevin Kilban's, but I've always loved international soccer in Canada and international soccer. So I've watched them for like the decade and through all the frustrations and the horrible teams. And so to finally get there was a major accomplishment. And I think that tournament you could sort of give them, okay, that's just it's like the 8th seed that makes it to the conference final or something. And you go, the rest is gravy. They were there. They got a goal. They didn't get a result, but they hung in there for a couple of games. That's enough. They have to get past that now. I think you're bang on, Noodles, that, there's no excitement in scoring a goal.
Right.
You have to get some sort of result. Now, I think that ultimately they want to advance and finish second in the group. And while Argentina's a long shot, Chile and Peru, those are reasonable games that Canada should win one of those games or get a couple of results and maybe be able to finish second in the group and get out. I think that's a fair request of Canada and a fair goal to get out of the group to judge this as a success. Now, if they win, if they beat Peru or Chile, or they get a draw against Argentina and then maybe lose in those other 2 games close, you could say there's small victories in that, right? If they get a draw with Argentina, it'll be a big celebration. But I think getting out of the group is a realistic thing, and you're right. Canada and Canadian soccer fans are going to start to demand more, right? Like it's not it's no longer good enough that you've just qualified. It's now time to get some results, and they have good enough guys. Like, look at Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies. If you take away Argentina and you're like measuring how players are valued internationally, there's nobody on Peru or Chile who's valued more than Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies. So in those two games, they're going to have the two best players, technically. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason to not expect some sort of result.
All right, JD.
All right.
Who you having over tonight? You got any big plans or what?
Yeah, me and the TV guy, we're just going to have a quiet dinner. Maybe some wine.
Room service.
Yeah.
Naked
My TV
room
still
service.
ain't working, by the way. I just had the third guy up there. I had a new guy up there, so I got all sorts of new.
Why
friends.
didn't you change rooms? Like, you got enough points,
Honestly, because I'm too lazy. You know, you unpack your suitcase and you hang your suits up, and usually I don't even watch TV, but because Euro's on and because the game was on last night, this is pretty much the one trip where I want to watch TV, but I'm just too lazy to call down and complain, and I keep thinking it's going to work, but I don't know. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about my problem.
It's all good. We're good. Yeah, no, it's going to be a wild...
Just people out there, you know.
Yes.
Don't always make things, disgusting in your mind. Just take the innocence and the love in a tweet.
I like it. Well, Atlanta and Edmonton... basically right next door to each other, so your travel should be easy the next 48 hours.
Before we go, because I know you got to go, this is the most wonderful thing of this entire thing. There is a direct flight from Atlanta to Edmonton on Friday morning.
Wow.
This is a gift from above. I may do a live segment. Maybe I'll tape it on my phone and send it to you guys, where I'm going to ask every person on the plane, why are you flying from Atlanta to Edmonton? And why is there actually a flight there?
That's a great question.
This is a miracle, and the only thing that has saved me and that will get me there for puck drop on Friday. So,
okay.
God bless the airlines for
yes, get to the bottom of that. I need to know that. Atlanta, Edmonton, one way makes no sense in June. But
all right, see you, boys.
All right, buddy. There's James Duthie. Copa America tomorrow night, Canada, Argentina on TSN. JD joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. All right, Kevin Weeks coming up. We had trades. We had signings. We've got a lot going on in the NHL. And, of course, the Cup Final continues. And it doesn't sound like Elvis Martinez will be in the starting lineup tonight, but could come off the bench. We'll get into that. Steve Phillips in about an hour. And the say-hey kid, Willie Mays, passing away yesterday at the age of 93. Maybe the greatest ball player ever. We'll catch up with Steve in about an hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
You're going to want to hear this.
Gerry's percentages.
I don't love being commissioner as much as I used to. I actually love it even more.
That's the voice of a Hall of Famer.
Are you kidding? Have you been out drinking?
You're all pigeons. Filthy, filthy pigeons.
It's Gerry. Gerry.
All right, Gerry's Percentages brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. BP's all in on supporting the Oilers to end their 30-year drought. They're changing their logo from red to orange until the Oilers win it. Boston Pizza wants all of Canada on board to bring the cup home where it belongs. See you for Puck Drop and join us cheering on the good guys. History awaits. Yeah, it still awaits, and it's still going, man. This Boston Pizza move is still coming alive. The Cup Final is on its way back to Edmonton for Game 6. Are you guys ready to hear from Gerry?
Let's go.
Gerry's in no mood for this garbage show today because I just had to jump on another plane and fly back to Edmonton. I might just go ahead and suspend McDavid for Game 6 out of spite. Because that sneaky little devil just won't slow down. That looks like Gerry in Pee Wee hockey in New York way back when.
Gerry had wheels back in the day.
Oh,
I like that. Imagine a spiteful suspension. That would be quite the move from Gerry. I don't see it happening, though. It's all good. Let's get to the takes here.
The only thing worse than flying back to Edmonton is the idea the Oilers might actually go on and win this thing. And Gerry's worst nightmare is going to come to life because that's exactly what's going to happen. The Oilers in 7.
Okay. Oilers in 7 for Gerry.
Scream at the end there.
I don't know why that was
he's an
necessary.
idiot.
He's not happy with flying back to Edmonton, you can tell.
Yeah.
So Gerry's saying Oilers in 7.
Yep. Gerry's saying the comeback will be complete.
15%. I know everyone is fired up, okay? Don't dump on me, but you still have to understand. The Florida Panthers had 4 cracks at this. They've just blown 2. A lot of credit to the Oilers, but they got 2 more, man. They got 2 more to win 1. Yeah, there's some cracks. Yeah, they look shaky. But this just could blow up in there. There just could be a huge bubble burst. Like, Florida could put it together and it just could be so deflating. It also could be awesome. It could be the Oilers in 7. I just think the odds are stacked against you still, and it's 15%.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers suggest that
I'm a
Florida's
numbers
still
guy.
in the
I'm going by the numbers
big
here.
Yes,
numbers
you are.
guy.
You always have been.
I'm higher than you, but I don't know if I'm at 50-50 yet.
I said 15.
No, I know. But I'm saying myself, I'm higher than you. I'm higher than 15%. I don't think I'm at 50 yet. So I think I'm at 41%. You still got to earn it. You still got to show it.
Oh, that was Hazy B's number. That was Hazy
41.
B's number.
Yeah, I'm just under 50. But, I mean, they're trending in that direction. God, it was 1% the other day, literally.
It felt like 0% after they're down 3-0.
Exactly.
It was 0.
It was. Everyone said that, of course.
Okay, so I've given them 41%, which is still a high number.
Yeah.
We'll see what they got Friday, both teams, because I think Florida's going to have a game where they're going to try and win 2-1. And it might be we might have an OT game, an OT game in Game 6. Who knows? But I think Edmonton's put themselves back into the conversation. Hayes, you always say series are always at 3-2. So
someone's got to be down 3-2.
Right.
Yeah. So you're going to get to Game 6. Someone's got to be there.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm under 50 as well, naturally. I mean, that's what the real numbers would tell you, the analytics on it, the data, but also just a feeling. Florida, I don't think they've had their A stuff here for a few games. They haven't forgotten how to play. Bob hasn't forgotten how to play, though it's concerning the way Bob's playing. I'll say 42% because the last team to do this was the 1942 Maple Leafs.
All right.
With Frankie McCool between the pipes. So I'm going to go a shade above Noodles. Let me throw one out on the fly. Jerry's not going to be happy with this because he's waiting patiently. If the Oilers win Game 6, what's your Jerry's they win Game 7?
70%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jerry's on the fly, and they're tough to do, but I'm going to go 70. If you get it back and drag them back to South Florida again, then you want to talk about, like...
That's
an underpants cam that's just the National Geographic type detail.
Right. 4K.
In the trees.
I'm over 50% too if they win Game 6 because then we all will be going, would you take this player for one game, right? Mm-hmm. And 97 plays for Edmonton.
Oh, yeah.
That's where I would go. But they got to get Game 6. That's why I'm still under 50.
So Jerry's on the fly. That's all it was.
That National Geocam in the woods, when you can see like a bug's eye open and it's very deep, it would be insane.
David Attenborough on the analysis too with the full breakdown. Yeah, it would be epic. The underpant cam, I'm telling you, man, flying back to Edmonton alone would be, it's not quite Rory on 18, but it's Rory on 16. McElroy on 16 right now. That's where the Panthers are. They got to hit a 3-footer. I don't know if they can do it on 16. All right, what else do we have here, Jerry?
The Conn Smythe debate is officially over. McDavid's winning it. Even if I grappled and put him in a Gerry wrestling hold and held him out of Games 6 and 7.
All right. It's over for Gerry. I don't know if he has the right to make that call. I think it's a media vote, but Jerry's saying it's over.
80%. I'm going to leave some room for Bob to be outrageous and Barkov to score 4 goals in a game like in Game 6. Other than that, it's 80% Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Pretty simple on that one. 80%,
yeah,
I'm leaving 10 points for Bob and 10 for Barkov.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 42 points. Barkov has 21.
I know.
It's insane. I'm going a bit higher. Like, I actually am going to say 90%. You left 10 points each for those guys. I'm leaving 5 points each. And they can still win it. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But I think McDavid is, if you look, this is for the full playoffs, not just the finals. Like,
Bob's been pretty damn good the whole playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. But, I mean, okay, I'm glad that you said that too, Brian, because I feel like Bob, his last 2 games, allowing 9 goals on 39 shots, like that, for a lot of times, I feel like that would pull him right out of the conversation, right?
Wow.
Where Barkov's been very quiet too,
yeah.
But it's not in your face. That's the difference. So I'm glad you said that because Bob has been great. So has Barkov, but so is 97. He's been ridiculous.
I mean, McDavid. I don't know if there's a wrong answer here. It just hit. I think Reggie Leach is the only non-goalie to win the Conn Smythe on a losing team. So this just never happens. I do think group think happens a lot with these. It's just, now McKinnon's got it. That guy's got it. McDavid's the Conn Smythe now. So everyone's like, all right, I better vote that or my vote's going to go public and I'm going to get destroyed. Like, I think a lot of people vote based on that. Not what they believe necessarily, but they do what they think they're supposed to so they don't get carved. And it feels like an overwhelming majority are moving towards it's over, it's McDavid. So I'm high on this as well, but I'll be lower than the two of you because it is recency bias. It always is in the moment. Last night, the guy performed at a level that was absurd. I think the game before, absurd. He's the best player in the world. That's undisputed. We've known that for a long time.
Right.
But again, if Bob makes like 50 saves tomorrow and wins, by the third period, the vote's going in, they might be like, man, look at this guy, Bob. Like, look what he did game 1. Look what he did game 6. He was pretty good in game 3, decent in game 4, and I'm going to say 70%. Like, it feels like the pendulum swung here where it's McDavid. Again, FanDuel's got him minus 185 to win the Conn Smythe. It's pretty crazy, the odds. But things can change. And as JD said earlier in the hour, what if Barkov has a 3-point night and a loss tomorrow and a 4-point night in game 7 and an OT winner to win the cup or something? You know, things can change because 2 games ago, McDavid was out of it.
Right.
Now he's back in it because of 2 games. We still have 2 more games. Things can still change. What else do we have, Gerry?
Rory McIlroy may putt like Philip Pritchard, but Gerry still has faith in him. And the next time he's got a lead on a Sunday of a major, he'll close the deal. He certainly didn't at Pinehurst. That was Hazy B at Coppenwood.
Yeah, that was ugly, Gerry. And I didn't know Philip Pritchard had whiskey mitts when he was out there. Who knew that he could make putts?
Mitts.
Can you imagine Philly Pritch sweating on Sunday with no bucket on, like in the last group of the Open?
Ooh. Gloves on. Gloves have to
on.
Be on. Mandatory.
Oh,
yeah, that wouldn't be good. But Gerry said if McIlroy's got the lead on a Sunday, it's over. Put it to bed at a major.
I can't buy into this right now, man. You just mentioned the word recency bias. How could you possibly think that he would lock anything down right now? Anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm 15% on that right now. And I love McIlroy. And I truly believe that he could get in the final group the next time he tees it up. He's that good of a player. But in a major, I don't know, man. I can't even give it more than 15% with what he just did. Can't do it.
Scar tissue's immense right now.
Oh,
immense.
Massive.
I'm going a little higher. I'm going to say 25%. The belief isn't there, but it's 1 in 4. Maybe he finds a way. You know, it's you mentioned scar tissue, but maybe he uses that as motivation and says, I'm going to bear down here.
Ideally, that's the case, but you would think he'd have enough built up over a decade where that would have applied on Sunday.
That's
this
true.
was the worst one. This was the deepest cut. I'm 10%, man. I'm lower than both of you guys. I can't envision it happening. It's so far removed from when he won his majors. And he's such a great player, probably the most talented player in the world still. I will say the internet, like we were talking about Duthie's picture, the video and the pictures of him in the waiting room watching DeChambeau putt out have been unbelievable content online. Like the quote tweets and stuff of him just staring and then walking away. And I saw so many good ones online. We should actually compile some of them.
But like, what else is the guy supposed to do? He's kind of got to watch it, and it's horrifying.
Exactly. But he just looks like he's just, he's too far gone. Like he looks like he just is in the darkest place possible. And that's probably because he was. And the walkout is depressing. It's just a tough watch, man. He burns rubber out of the parking lot. He's in the air 53 minutes later. It's crazy. Crazy what we witnessed on Sunday. All right, Gerry, what else we got?
Gerry's Big Four Nations Cup is going to be a Grand Slam success. And it's also going to see Nathan McKinnon play exclusively on the wing the whole tournament. Nate Dogg was checking out the line combos with Sid the Kid on the golf trip.
Yeah, Nathan McKinnon joined us yesterday. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So the Gerry's he's playing exclusively down the middle.
No, on the wing. He will play on the wing.
That's 0%. When you have an opportunity to stack a couple lines and throw McDavid on the ice and McKinnon after that, I don't think you can look past that. I think you talk about the smart money. I think the smart money would be on those two guys, like as a dual threat on different lines.
Yeah, I agree. I think lost in all of this too, Brian, is the depth of the American team. Like that, they're going to be built. You're going to have, what is that, Matthews, Hughes?
Probably Matthews, Eichel, Hughes, 1, 2, 3.
That's going to be some good.
That's what I'm saying.
Hockey, man.
So we're focused on Canada. I'm looking at matchups. I think you can go McDavid, McKinnon, because you're going to have to match up head-to-head against a team that could arguably just be – they might be as deep, if not deeper, in certain positions. Well, certain positions for sure.
For sure, net.
But, like, I'm saying I'm low on this because I think he's going to play center for the matchups alone against the U.S.
Yeah, I think exclusively is probably strong here from Gerry.
Right.
So, I'll say 20% chance that happens. He connects on a line and stays. It's possible. Maybe he does connect with Sid or he connects with McDavid and it's lights out and they're like, that's it. Like, why would we move that? These guys are going over the boards every 2 or 3 shifts. I will say that the idea of having McDavid, McKinnon, Sid as your 1, 2, 3, I don't care what you have on the American side. You can't match that. There, you could take every other nationality on earth, and you can't put a better 1, 2, 3 together, in my opinion. It'd be Draisaitl, Matthews, Barkov against those 3. I'd take Canada. That's how good those 3 would be up the middle of the ice. But even if you took McKinnon out, you replaced him with Point. I think I'd take McDavid, Sid, Point over Matthews, Hughes, Eichel. I would. You got to take that 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just McDavid. So we're watching McDavid play on a different planet right now.
Right.
But
like I was having this conversation today, if you had a one-off tonight, must win, who would you take as your number 1 center, Jack Hughes or Braden Point?
Braden Point.
All day.
Yeah.
How could you not?
Exactly. So obviously McDavid's going to beat anyone. Point, if McDavid and Matthews cross each other out, Point can cross out whoever else the Americans are going to put out. That says nothing about Sid if he's flying. And obviously McKinnon. So, like, Canada's stacked too, man. I know the Americans are getting a lot of love and a lot of people.
They are, and they deserve it, but don't look past Canada, man.
I'm not.
They're damn
no
good,
chance,
man.
No chance.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Gerry's Percentages. Brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. BP's all in on supporting the Oilers to end the 30-year drought. They're changing their logo from red to orange until the Oilers win it. Boston Pizza wants all of Canada on board to bring the cup home where it belongs. See you for Puck Drop and join us cheering on the good guys. History awaits. Little Gerry's After Dark still to come. Jay's back in action tonight. Steve Phillips will join us. Kevin Weeks coming up. Lots of action in the NHL. Copa America tomorrow. The Euros continue. Lots going on. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, so Jays Red Sox tonight. We'll get to that for our best bets. Brought to you by FanDuel. OverDrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Gosman on the mound tonight. But Orelvis Martinez is up, and he's not in the lineup to start the game. And this is the beauty of modern technology. Like, it used to be you'd have to go to the park to figure out who was playing, right? Remember when we were kids, you'd go down, you didn't have a clue what they were doing with the lineup. You didn't have a clue. You just walk in, you're like, I guess this guy's out. Or, I've moved around. That's cool. Now they obviously, blast out the lineup. and Martinez is not in the lineup, and the comments online from people. Because
Well, the big question is going to be, what the hell did you bring him up for?
Right. And, I get it. It's the major leagues, and you're trying to win ball games, and you're going to put forth your best lineup. But this team is a
You
mess.
know the end game, man. Put him in.
Play them. You've lost 2 in a row
Right.
here. You're well under 500. The Yankees are like, what are they, 15 games ahead of them? The Oilers are 12.5. Now the Sox are a number of games up on them. They're 5.5.
That's where Schneider is going to Ross Atkins. I can't risk it. I got to win now. Where Ross is going to be like, this team's going nowhere, so you're playing them.
Yeah.
That's what should happen.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They should be playing the kid, but the problem is the manager is trying to win games because he's looking at it and going, it's for his job. Like Schneider, if they continue on this way, he has no job next year, do you think?
I don't think so. And, I don't know what's going to happen with Ross. I don't know what will happen with Shapiro. I think Mark Shapiro is going to be here for a long time. I think if he wants to be as the president of the club. But Atkins has been the GM for a long, long time. Like, he's been running the show here a long time. And this current season is not going well. The offseason was a mess. We know what happened last year. And it's not that Martinez, you got to protect him. There is a part of it that you want to protect him, put him in a good spot to succeed and get his feet wet. But fans are just dying for some sort of positivity, and he would represent it if he was playing. Maybe he gets in tonight. We'll see what happens. Steve Phillips on that and more coming up in the final hour. Kevin Weeks as well in the Cup Final and all the activity around the NHL today. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.